It says I'm broadcasting.
Alright, wait. Should we see if it says, like, stream starting, Chris? Yeah, wait, Nick, what's the shit called on YouTube?
It's Neek's Tales. Here, I'll find it.
I got it. Yeah, press X to start.
Oh, it's live. It says it's live.
Yeah, I got it.
Holy fuck. Alright, let me plug in my mic.
Alright, Nick, we'll be watching.
Yeah. Can we hear me? Can anyone hear me? Alright. Welcome. Going right in for this. Here we go.
Thank you for meeting with me. If this is your first visit to the Bellflower Casino Resort, I hope you're finding it a pleasant one. I've owned this place for over 30 years. Running the Bellflower has been my life's work. A life which is almost over. I have terminal cancer.
Oh,
and
wow.
I've been fighting it for years, but my time is coming to an end. I've already come to terms with my condition, but it leaves me with a problem. I never found time to start a family, and I don't have any close friends. This hotel is all I have to leave to this world. It's my legacy, but I have no one to carry on that legacy once I'm gone. I need you to help me decide on the best person to inherit the Bellflower. I've made a list of 4 candidates, each of whom has a strong connection to this hotel. Unfortunately, I don't know any of them very well. I've invited them all here for the weekend under the guise that you want to do an interview with them for a book that you're writing about the hotel. Now, they're being paid a healthy stipend
I
for their
just have
time,
the
so
hotel?
you'll likely find them willing to answer any questions you may have. I want you to learn everything you can about them and report back to me if you discover anything relevant.
I agree, Nolan.
Their names are Ashley, Mallory, Sarah, and the last one is a couple of newlyweds named Todd and Becca.
First trophy, here we go. 1%. Tell me about Ashley.
Ashley is a magician. She's been holding her magic show
her.
here at the Bellflower since we added a theater during our last
Just
renovation.
kidding.
She's been here longer than any employee, and she's as financially tied to this place as anybody, aside from myself. She's a private person, so I don't know much about her personal life. Mallory is the unluckiest person I've ever met.
I
She's
agree,
also one of the
Cece.
nicest.
Crying, laughing.
I've never seen so much tragedy befall such an undeserving person. I unfairly gave her a hard time when we first met, but we get along well now. I gave her a complimentary stay here at the hotel to apologize, and she wouldn't stop talking about how much she loved it here. I think she might even like my hotel more than I do. Like the others on my list, I don't know very much about her.
That didn't give me much, to be honest. Oh my. We can just jump straight into this?
Sarah is the daughter of the Goodley family. She's been staying here with her parents on family vacations for years. That family is so wholesome that they make the Brady Bunch seem edgy. They're a welcome breath of fresh air here in Las Vegas, and I love the idea of someone with very strong moral values like Sarah taking over the hotel. I barely know anything about those two. Their names are Becca and Todd. I met them today when we were checking in. They came to Las Vegas to get married, and this trip is also doubling as their honeymoon. Yeah, I know it must seem odd to consider leaving my estate to a couple I barely know, but honestly, I barely know any of the people I'm considering. I figure that if they're staying here for their wedding and their honeymoon, then they're going to have a very strong emotional connection to the Bellflower Hotel. Plus, it almost seems like fate that they happen to
This
check in
man
today
is
while I'm
making
trying
some
to make this
horrible
decision.
business decisions.
I'm counting on you to ascertain whether or not they're good people worthy of consideration as heirs.
I should speak to someone else. Thank you. Davenport? Alright, I already forget everything.
I'm Ashley. I live here in Las Vegas. I spend most of my time practicing magic, and I am single. What else do you want to know?
She's really having a great day.
I've been performing my magic act here since the last time it was renovated. Huh. Never heard of the place before that. I like it here. I like Mr. Davenport, too. He's very hands-off. I appreciate the fact that he doesn't try to give me input about my show.
Wow, there's a lot of questions here.
I'm not great at dating. It's probably because I really don't enjoy getting to know people. That's why I think that dinner and a movie is the perfect first date. You have just enough time to exchange facts about each other, and then the food comes, and you can't talk because your mouth is full. Then you go sit in a dark movie theater, where talking is frowned on, and you watch a movie. It's great. Especially if you're with one of those people who insists on talking all the time. I'm great at breakups, though. Yeah, not very good at dating. I've tried dating apps, but I haven't found any that I really like.
Why are there more questions? I'm trying to just go in order.
There are people who talk all the time, even when they have nothing to say. If you have nothing to say besides hello or hi, why talk? I really don't enjoy misguided politeness.
Jeezer Louiser.
It's like when someone tries to do something nice, but it has the opposite effect. Like you're walking towards a door, and you're too far away, but someone decides to hold it open for you anyway. So then you have to rush to get through the door so they don't awkwardly stand there holding it. Do you know what's easier than rushing through a parking lot to get through a door? Opening it yourself when you're there.
Okay, good. Questions are going down.
When you're part of a magic show, you spend countless hours practicing. We only perform 4 nights a week, so it would seem like it's an easy schedule, but we spend maybe another 30 hours practicing. More if you're bringing someone new into the show. It's a lot.
That makes me think she can't handle magic and a hotel, but also she doesn't know that she's up for a hotel. To just have a hotel.
I don't particularly like any of the dating apps out there right now. They're all designed to let you chat with the person before you meet them. If you chat with the person before you meet them, then you find out how horrible they are.
CC, I respect the actor's grind. That's all I can say.
Then you don't even get
They're
the
just getting
social
handed a
rewards
script.
of having gone on a date. You know what I want? I want a dating app where you don't ever have to go on a date. Where when you match with a likely candidate, the app takes the photos
Thank you,
that you've
CC.
each submitted and places them
Like,
in a
comment,
likely
subscribe.
dating scenario. Then it returns the photo to you. You can put that photo on your social media platforms, and it looks like you've been on a date. And you've never had to go on a date. Everybody wins. The problem most people make when they're breaking up with someone is that they try to be too nice. And that's very selfish. Not the good kind of selfishness either. When you're too nice with someone and you're breaking up with them, it makes them sad. It makes them wish that you weren't leaving. It makes them think that maybe they should stay with you. When you're breaking up with someone, it is the one time of your life that you should be a complete asshole, so that they actually feel relieved. They feel like a burden has been lifted. Yeah.
Hard
You should always be
disagree
an
here.
asshole when you're breaking up with someone. That's why I'm very good at it. Everyone talks about selfishness like it's some sort of sin. Selfishness is necessary. Everyone wants good-paying jobs. Want them to be in our country and not another country. That's selfish. Everyone wants those good-paying jobs to be in our city, not another city. That's selfish. I want those good-paying jobs to be mine, not someone else's. That's selfish. Selfishness is necessary for us to survive. I haven't really talked to him that much. We talked a little bit when this place was being renovated.
Yes,
The Magic
yes,
Act was
Chris, I know
becoming
it's
popular,
you.
and I was looking for a place to take up residency, and he was looking for an
Because that's Nick
host
Diaz or whatever.
in his arena. Worked
Nate
out great.
Diaz, one of the Diaz's.
We've really only spoken a few times since then, usually about business. I guess you could say he's one of my best friends.
Okay, I missed that, but she said they're best friends, but they don't talk.
I don't like interacting with people unless there's a purpose. I would say I'm a people person, but I grow weary of them quickly if they overstay their welcome or talk. I prefer quiet types who show who they are by their actions. You know,
Had
a
a
lot of
feeling
people
it
will have
wasn't Nate.
shallow, fake friends who will tell you all about their day, but they'll never lift a finger if you need to move or get rid of a body. I really don't like people like that.
Wait, it is Nate? Yeah, I'm gonna have to press her on get rid of a
I've never had
body.
to get rid of a body. But if I did, I wouldn't be stupid about it. You know, everybody just tries to bury the body or throw it in a river with something heavy on it, trying to keep the cops from finding it. The cops are gonna find the body. But if I
Okay,
was
so
going
it's
to get rid
Nate
of a body,
Diaz.
I would throw it in the river with a bungee cord harness attached to it, and then I wouldn't attach the other end to anything. So when the cops found the body, as they're going to, they wouldn't assume it was murder. They would just assume it was someone stupid who deserved to die. I mean, people win Darwin Awards every day. Why not take advantage of it?
Bro, whoever I am is real curious with all these questions.
You've never heard of the Darwin Awards? They're my favorite. They're named for Charles Darwin, based around his survival of the fittest and genetics and stuff. So, whenever someone dies doing something that is so stupid, they do the human race a favor by draining themselves out of the gene pool, they get a Darwin Award. I used to love watching them on the internet, but now really it's just fails. They aren't legitimate Darwin Awards. So I watch a lot of roller coaster disasters instead. They're great too.
I'm kind of speechless right now.
Oh, it's understandable if you didn't know that I had my own magic act. I'm not on any of the posters. I used to be. But I learned early on that audiences expect a magician to be male. So I hired a male presenting actor as the magician. I started working as the assistant. But ticket sales, foom, shot way up.
So she's not a magician. Oh my god. More questions.
Oh, we promote it like it's his show, but he's essentially worthless. He doesn't do much of anything. I've actually replaced the actor that's played the magician 3 times. Audiences never noticed. They're fine as long as there's someone on stage who looks like they expect a magician to look. usually with a goatee. For some reason, a goatee is mandatory. I'm not mad about it. My act has actually gotten a lot easier since I started working as an assistant and not the magician. I'll let you in on a little secret. The assistants are actually the ones who perform all the tricks in a magic act. The magician really is just there so that people have something to keep their eyes on. They're gonna watch him, see if they can figure out the trick, see if he's doing anything sneaky. Everyone really just ignores the girls in the shiny outfits. But we're the ones making the tricks work. Now, magic is all about misdirection. The magician is the biggest misdirection of all.
Oh, I knew it. I knew it would say misdirection question mark. Fuck.
You can get away with anything as long as someone's attention is focused on something else.
I'm rocking
That's
the
the key to
stash
all
right
of magic,
now.
half of life.
I watched a video
Everyone knows
yesterday
it,
about
nobody
mustache
cares.
styles.
Back when I really was an assistant, I worked for
Might
a
have to
magician,
try
the great
'em out.
Zambini. He based his signature trick on this very thing. See, we were part of a
The
traveling
great
carnival,
Zambini,
and
bruh.
our stage was outdoors. At the beginning of the night, the back of the stage, a Zamboni was parked. It was the Zamboni. And he would tell the audience that at some point during the evening, he was going to make the Zamboni disappear and no one would notice. So about halfway through the evening, we would have this assistant come out that the audience had not yet seen. Her name was Kelly. She was particularly alluring. And the other assistants and I would help her up on top of a platform, and we would begin tying her up with scarves. We'd really take our time about it, make it very erotic, and Kelly would wiggle and pout and make these cute little squeaky gerbil noises. While this was happening, Zambini would pull out his keys and drive the Zamboni off stage. Then he'd run back. We would make Kelly disappear in a fairly standard trick.
You don't think people...
When it was done, Zambini would be standing
I'd
where the
notice a
Zamboni was with his
Zamboni
arms outstretched,
leaving.
like he had just accomplished the most amazing feat in the world. And the audience loved it. They would clap like it was the best thing ever. It was grotesquely sexist, but it worked.
Oh my goodness me.
I haven't talked to her since we worked together. I'm sure she's doing fine. Supremely attractive people have it very easy. I'm sure she married rich or got kidnapped by human traffickers and sold on the black market. Either way, she's living in a big house with someone else paying
That
the bills.
shirt is low-key profound.
When you're starting out in this industry, you will take anything you can get. It was rough. I was on the road for 6 months.
I can't even remember
Before
the
that,
question
I was an
asked.
assistant to a comedy magician. That was even worse. I'd still take that over any normal job. Oh, comedy magicians. Awful. None of it's real magic. It's all just jokes. I don't have any jokes in my act. Well, I have one, but I don't do it every night. I just save it for when I have a heckler.
There's so many more
I've
questions. I wasn't
tried
looking
working
for a
normal
second.
jobs, but they all have the same problem. You have to deal with annoying people. You're not allowed to hurt them. I worked in a call center once. That wasn't too bad. I mean, you couldn't touch the people to hurt them, but we were given scripts, which I'm sure were designed to emotionally torture whoever we talked to. The sadists that wrote them were really good at their jobs, too. Yeah. Oh, and there was this computer system they had to navigate before they were ever even allowed to connect with us. Did a great job of wearing down their will to live. By the time they got to us, they were hanging on by a thread. Yeah, that was nice.
So this game has no ratings in Metacritic. Is that correct?
Most people are annoying. Some people take it to a whole new level. Some people are professional at it. Like those people who work in lotion kiosks at the mall. They know their product isn't any good. If it were any good, they would sell it in a store. But no, they're at a kiosk, harassing people who walk past until someone is so guilty that
I
they
don't
can't
even
just
know what to
ignore
say.
them, and they stop. And then the lotion people start putting lotion.
It's abundantly
on this
clear that
poor
I'm not going to choose this person, but I can't help myself from getting through every question.
And the person can't get away. And they massage them. And it's awkward. And the person can't get away. Until this poor slob buys something that is unnecessary and overpriced just to make it stop. Whenever I see those people, they've got someone in their clutches, I just walk up and I say, it puts the lotion on its skin or else it gets the whole skin. They never seem to know how to respond to that.
I think I'm going to go through each of them as far as I can. I'm just going to like grind through them one at a time. I'd rather do that. I am going to start getting confused if I do anything otherwise.
The fact that hecklers are still a thing is proof that society is a failure. I don't know why we still allow them to exist. I have a good way of dealing with them, though. Whenever we get a heckler that's too bad, I mean, it's really bad,
Chris, I got
motion to the other
excuse me,
assistants, and I
CC.
notify the magician.
I got a platinum trophy
And
this game, though. That's
they
the
invite
problem.
the heckler up on stage to help us with our next act. So I bring out a specially made tall box, and the magician announces that he is going to make the heckler disappear.
I appreciate the input, but
them in the
I
box.
play the games here,
We wrap the box up
respectfully.
with chains, and we wheel it off stage. The audience loves it. They laugh, they clap. The heckler's never heard from again. Works great. Then backstage, I feed the heckler to my alligators. I don't have alligators. Box only opens one way. I push it up against an exit door, and when the heckler opens it, they can only leave. I've gotten exactly 2 negative Yelp reviews. Worth it.
Yo, CC, just be patient.
No one ever uses real magic in their magic act. It's all parlor tricks and very bendy assistants who can fit into small spaces. Machinery. Audiences just like to pretend it's real.
How do you even try
Anybody
out
ever
for
came out and
this?
started
Like, where
performing
do you audition
sorcery
for
or
Vegas Tales?
blood magic, the audience would lose their mind. That'd be nice. Every aspect of our society has failed. Look at politics. We live in a democracy that is so divided, no matter who gets elected, half of the population is going to be miserable and angry. Families are divided. Lifelong friendships are
What
torn
year
apart.
is this game from?
We are so at odds right now that left and right Twix don't even come in the same package anymore.
Didn't need to hear her take on that.
You can buy anything if you know where to look. I used to buy weed on the dark web before it was legal. I know there are people who buy fake
You don't need
IDs
you don't
on
need to go to the dark web for weed.
anything. You can find it.
Oh.
They say human trafficking is a $150 billion a year industry, and I want to know how they know that. Are human traffickers reporting income tax, or are they just making up numbers? Oh, I never had a fake ID. I grew up in a small town. It would have been pointless. Everybody knew everybody else anyway. And really, the only reason to have a fake ID is so that you can buy beer before you're old enough. And I don't drink. I did buy a lot of beer for other kids when I was in high school, though. I mean, sort of. I would buy the non-alcoholic beer, and then I would peel the labels off, and I printed my own, put something, generic and fancy sounding. And then, during study hall, I would just sell it at a drastic markup. Nobody ever called me out on it.
There's going to be a beer
They ever
question.
figured it out. I even remember hearing some of the kids brag about how much beer they were able to consume. Oh, they must have been very shocked when they attended their first college party.
Oh, okay. Wow.
Oh, I know weed is legal now, but back before it was, everybody would smoke it anyway. It was just one of those crimes you never got in trouble for. Like speeding or practicing medicine without a license. The sale of human organs is a multi-billion-dollar a year industry. And who do you think is taking those organs out of the people who lose them and putting them into the people who need them? I doubt it's someone practicing with a license. But I'm not doing it. I am not involved in that industry. I dabble in taxidermy, but I am not skilled enough to take a kidney out of someone and put it in someone else and have one of them live. Taxidermy is a hobby of mine. Whenever I find a dead animal, I take it home and I stuff it. And then I save them, and when I have enough of them collected, I take them to dying children in the children's hospital. Because children love stuffed animals.
Is this a joke? Like, am I being pranked? Like, did you guys make this game and put it on PlayStation?
I think everyone should have hobbies. I like taxidermy and sensory deprivation. I made my own sensory deprivation tank once. I like to lie in it and be alone with my thought. It's very peaceful in there. I slept in it once. It's like sleeping in a coffin.
Nolan, I don't quite have probable cause yet, but I'm sus, as you can imagine.
I like to visit kids in the cancer ward. Yeah, I ask them to draw me a picture, and then I trade them for one of the stuffed animals. It makes them feel better to barter. No one wants to be pitied, just given stuff. Even kids dying of cancer. I save all the pictures they give me. They say that a piece of art at least doubles in value once the artist dies, and I'm sure their parents will pay top dollar in about a decade.
Whatever.
People don't barter enough these days. They don't haggle enough either. For instance, if someone has a poster for a lost pet and they offer a $100 reward, now in my experience, most people would just take the $100 and be happy. I try to haggle a little. They'll go for at least $150. I mean, no one posts their best offer on a flyer that's going on a telephone pole. Yeah. I return
Boy.
lost pets to their owners as a side hustle.
Okay, wow,
See,
I'm
whenever I
actually
see
getting
a
there.
flyer
I don't know
that
if you guys
has
can
a
see my
reward offered
trophy
and a phone
progress,
number,
but
I take it down. And then I post the flyer
can you
with
guys see my
my
trophy
phone number,
progress?
and I offer half the reward. Then someone else finds the pet, returns it to me. Then I do a nice little markup, call the original phone number, and reunite the pet with its parent.
Oh, okay.
For
I'm
profit.
at 16% of
Does
the
very well.
trophies. So let's call it 1/6 of the way there.
Have you ever tried sleeping in a coffin? It's relaxing. It's cozy. There's extra layers of noise insulation in case you have loud neighbors. I slept in one back when I had college roommates. Oh, I didn't actually go to college, but I lived in student housing after high school. See, you don't actually have to be a student to live there. I hated having roommates, but it's all I could afford. I bought my own place as soon as I could, but they kicked me out.
Kicked me out? Question mark. Yep, there it is.
High school is awful. I mean, you undergo years of traumatic experiences, and then when you finally escape, they invite you back for a reunion so that you can go spend more time with the same people who made your childhood traumatic. I don't understand it. Do survivors of other traumatic experiences have reunions? I mean, do people who lived through a plane crash get together and reminisce about the turbulence they experienced before it all went pear-shaped?
Dramatic? Yeah. Jeezer.
I don't understand reunions or nostalgia in general. People cling to the past like it was the best part of their lives. But do you know what most people spent most of the past doing? Waiting for the future to come so their miserable lives would improve. Really makes no sense to me. I don't live in the past. I look to the future. I am so ready to be in the future.
Future?
Second my contract is up, I am out of here. I am retiring to someplace very far away with very few people, and I am never going to think about Las Vegas again.
Oh, well, that's good.
Can't wait for that.
All this time,
I want
finally.
to see what the future holds, because I'm done here.
Oh, let's go. Let's go. Let's go. Cut me off.
What is there to say? I guess I'm a little bit down on my luck right now between jobs. I had 2 job interviews earlier this week, and I'm hoping to have more soon. I don't like to admit this usually, but it might be important for your book. I'm actually homeless currently.
Wow.
It might surprise you that I actually came from a fairly wealthy family. My dad was some sort of hotshot furniture salesman, and my mom was a cable TV installer. We actually owned our own house.
Chris, you're going to be to be a bit more succinct with your messages, because I can only see part of it.
Success like my parents, and I guess it's just all right that they're not around anymore, so that they don't have to see what my life has turned into. You know, I didn't exactly meet their high expectations. I used to work at the Bellflower as a professional gambler. That's actually how I met Mr. Davenport. His security guards thought that I was cheating, actually, so they brought me in for hours and hours of questioning. Thankfully, they looked through the security footage and saw that I was not cheating. They could have just kicked me out, but Mr. Davenport was so kind, and he actually put me in a room for a full week to make up for the trouble that had been caused. This is the nicest hotel I've ever been in. Oh, I've been an orphan almost my entire life. Yeah, my parents died in a fishing accident when I was really little.
Chris, I am going through this game from start to finish in order.
Albert, but we don't really talk at all. He's been in and out of prison my whole life.
Why do I need to know about her uncle?
My Uncle Albert? Oh, he goes back to prison all the time. He's actually serving a life sentence, but he keeps escaping. I don't know how he keeps getting out, but the guards catch him and put him right back in. Albert is from the dark side of my family.
From a life sentence, they don't just throw you back in.
We were always a little bit ashamed to be related to Albert's side of the family, to be honest. I mean, I know that I'm not some great success or anything like that, but
All right,
at
Chris,
least
you'll
I'm
get
trying
to
to
see what
better
they look
myself.
like, but you're not
Albert's
going to be
mom
able
was
to
a
tell me
lawyer,
what to
and his
do
dad was a
with
member of
choosing.
Congress for over a decade. It's like they didn't even try to have honest jobs.
Sarah with 3 people for some reason. There he is. Mr. Davenport.
My parents used to take me fishing on the southern coast of Alabama. I don't think we were supposed to be fishing at the spot they found, but there was never anybody around to tell us to leave, so we did it anyway. It was really nice and almost like a real vacation. Anyway, we didn't have a real boat. We had just 3 of those floating pool chairs that we'd like paddle out and just sit there.
Chris, I'm going to have the
fish.
mods ban
It
you
was really
if you keep
relaxing.
spamming.
Anyway, one day my parents caught an undertow and the current pushed them out deep into the ocean. So luckily I managed to get to shore, but it took me a while to find anyone for help. The authorities searched and searched for them, but all they could find were their pool chairs, empty. It was really bad, but I was placed into the foster care system. I wasn't in the foster care system for very long. When I was 9, I was placed with a foster family, but unfortunately, my foster parents died the first night that I was with them. A burglar broke in and murdered them. My foster mom was able to call the police, but by the time they arrived, they were already dead. And the police couldn't find the burglar anywhere. The prosecutor on the case assumed that I had murdered my foster parents and even accused me of killing my birth parents. So he got the judge to sign off that I was going to be tried as an adult instead of a child. Even
This
though I
is
was only
ridiculous.
9.
This is ridiculous.
Luckily, they did find the real killer, and it turns out he was just really good at hiding, and he was in a crawl space under the house. So, unfortunately, due to this legal loophole that in Alabama I was now considered legally an adult, so I was out of the foster care system.
That's so
and I had to find a
unbelievably,
job,
that
so
can't be real.
I worked in a coal mine.
Oh
It
my
wasn't the work
God.
I wanted to be doing, but it paid something. And then when I was 18, I moved out of Alabama. I didn't have much money saved up, so I had to hop onto a train like they do in the movies. Only it wasn't exactly like how they do it in the movies because there were no big empty cars with those open sides that you could just hop right onto. The best I could find was a small platform that stuck out from the train a couple of inches. I was able to put my feet on that, and then there was a handle that I could cling to. I figured that I could just stay like that for an hour and then I'd be across state lines, but unfortunately, the train picked up a lot of speed and I was stuck clinging onto the train up until Detroit.
That shit just didn't stop.
Well, I hadn't intended on going to Detroit, but since I was there, I decided to make the most out of it. I got a job as the mascot at a children's restaurant. It was kind of a cheap ripoff of Chuck E. Cheese. And I had a costume that wasn't so much a cute mouse as a scary rat. But luckily, the kids didn't seem to mind too much, but I was only there for a little bit anyway. The first time I got my paycheck, I went to the bank and I was still in my rat costume. And unfortunately, 2 bank robbers came in, also in costume. So when the police showed up, they assumed that I was with them and arrested me along with them. I was able to sort things out at the police station and I got off, but my picture in costume was already in the newspaper, so my boss didn't like seeing his mascot on the front page of the newspaper for bank robbery, so I got fired.
I don't know how you come up with this.
My first job interview was for a job selling jewelry. I didn't have any experience, so they said they
Actually, I
couldn't hire me.
can, but
My second
like
job
to
interview was
go
at
through
an
the
adult
process
video
of making
store.
this. Oh my
They needed
god.
someone to clean up those video booths after customers
This
used
has
them.
officially gone
I
too
also
far.
didn't have any experience with this, but I really wanted the job, so I lied and said that I'd been doing it for 15 years already in 3 different cities. I thought for sure they were going to hire me, but for some reason they didn't. I guess that was karma telling me that I shouldn't have lied.
Anyway, I don't know how
I
you
wasn't
go
always
through
homeless. Actually, when I was in Alabama, I had
writing this and then
3,000
making
square
it a
feet to
game. Like,
myself.
who
I felt
okayed
like
this
a wealthy land
across
baron or
every single
something.
level of the process?
I didn't have a house on the land, but I did have a really nice tent at first. It was great. I lived there for a full year before I could save up for a house. Well, not a house. I actually bought an 8-foot by 10-foot shed that was fantastic.
I don't know
it was
where
just as good
any
as a
money
house.
for this could
Had
have
a
possibly
roof, 4
come from.
walls, a window,
So I
a
don't
door,
know how much they got
everything
paid.
I needed. I don't know why more people don't just live in sheds.
Shed?
That was the nicest place I ever lived. Unfortunately, 2 weeks after I bought that shed, it was swallowed in a sinkhole. So there was really nothing left for me in Alabama. I decided to chase my childhood dream and move to Albuquerque.
Why is your childhood dream to move to Albuquerque?
Oh, that was the wildest thing. I actually ended up here in Vegas by accident, but while I was here, I figured I might as well try gambling. It turned out I was extremely bad at it, though, and I actually caught the eye of a wealthy man who asked me to be a professional gambler for him. So he would give me money to play craps, and then he would bet on me losing. And we actually made a great team, and
I'm
he
pretty
made a
sure
ton
that's
of
not
money
how it
off
works.
me. But the casinos started noticing what was happening, and they started kicking us out. Mr. Davenport was the only one who was really nice about it, though. Well, I didn't mean to end up here, but I was on a bus on my way to Denver, and the bus stopped here, and I got off to use the bathroom, but I guess I took too long because when I came back out, the bus was gone, and it also had my luggage on it, so when I got here, all I had was the clothes on my back. But I'm glad it happened because I had a really good time here. Oh. He was a rich person just like you'd see in the movies. I mean, he had a 3-piece suit on with a jacket and a matching vest and everything. His car had a hood ornament on it, and he even had brown socks to match his brown shoes. I wouldn't know what to do with that kind of money. I think the first thing I might do would be to buy a monocle, though.
Gonna go with she's not fit to run this hotel. But sure, let's ask about the godforsaken monocle.
I've wanted a monocle my whole life. I've had really bad vision in one of my eyes since I was a little girl. This one time I found a pair of glasses that had a missing lens, but the lens it did have was very close to my vision needs. So I had that. It was perfect. Almost perfect. The lens was on the wrong side, so I did have to wear them upside down. Eventually, I tried to take the lens out and put it in the correct side, but when I did, the lens cracked and I couldn't wear them anymore. Well, I wasn't in Denver proper, but I was about half an hour away at this ski resort very close by. Anyway, I worked at the ski resort first as a ticket salesperson, but
Chris, I agree,
then I
but
studied and worked really hard
that's
to become
proof
a ski
that
instructor.
this person is
But
not fit to run a
sadly,
hotel.
like all my jobs, it didn't last. The first time I took a group out to go skiing, I was supposed to bring them to an intermediate level hill, but unfortunately I read the color coding wrong and I brought them to an advanced hill. There's a huge difference between an intermediate hill and an advanced hill. I, of course, lost my job. Ever since I was a little girl, I wanted to move to a big city. You know, one of those places that musicians write songs about? A place like Albuquerque. When I finally moved to Albuquerque, it exceeded my expectations.
I can't.
All the glitz, all the glamour, it was incredible. And the best part was the people were really nice.
Like that was actually funny. I'm not sure if it was trying to be funny, but like that actually made me laugh.
A little boy had lost his dog, and the entire community banded together to try to find it. Every business had some sort of poster in the window asking for people to find the dog, and I actually came across the dog, but unfortunately it was already dead, so I buried it. And then I wanted to do that thing that they do in TV shows where you replace one dead animal with a new alive animal that looks the same. So I went to every pet store in town until I found a dog that looked like the dog that I had buried, that had died. I brought it to the little boy's family, and they seemed so happy. It was great, until about 2 weeks after that when I found out the truth. The little boy and his family weren't looking for a lost pet. Unfortunately, they were looking for a dog that had bitten the little boy. They wanted the dog to see if the dog had rabies.
What is happening?
Since I didn't bring the correct dog back, they couldn't test the dog, and it turns out the dog that bit the little boy did have rabies. That's why he died. The story doesn't have a happy ending for the little boy, and I couldn't face the townspeople anymore, so I had to move out of Albuquerque.
Cross our fingers, last one.
Oh, I've done it all. I've delivered pizzas, I had an ice cream truck, I worked in a pet shop, I even worked on a cruise ship. I've had some truly wonderful jobs, but sadly nothing ever worked out.
Oh, that's a stinger right there.
I worked at a really fancy pizza place that had a big dining room and everything. It was great. Anyway, the owner, my boss, was trying to sell it, so the potential buyers were coming in to see it and to go over the books. The owner said that we had to look as busy as possible when they came in to make a good impression, so anytime there was extra space in any of the pizza ovens, we just started making cheese pizzas. I was given the cheese pizzas anytime I was making a delivery, and I was told that I needed to just throw them in the dumpster, but I felt really weird about doing that because the town had a lot of homeless people. So instead, I decided to do a good deed and pass them out to them instead. After the potential buyer had looked through the restaurant, he was being driven back by my boss to his hotel room, and on the way, I guess they saw about 20 homeless people with our very distinct pizza boxes. I don't know what he thought, but he didn't end up buying the place after all, and I lost my job.
Cece, that's a real shame. I
got a job at a pet shop, but
keep my viewer count up, you know.
Before I got fired, unfortunately. Before I worked there, I really didn't know anything about animals, so I did learn a lot on the job, thankfully. Anyway, my boss would have me open up, and then he'd come in a couple hours later, around noon. And one day, we got a hamster delivery, 2 hamsters, and my boss had left a note saying, put them in a fish tank. The thing is, my boss didn't specify it was supposed to be an empty fish tank, so I put them in a fish tank that had fish and water in it. It also had a lid on the top. Anyway, the hamsters almost drowned, but thankfully we had this machine that was pumping air into the bottom of the tank, so the little guys were really smart and they took turns breathing out of the air hose. It was a dream of mine for a really long time to have my own ice cream truck. I love the idea of having my own business, being an entrepreneur, and selling wonderful sweet treats to people over jolly music. Anyway, it took a really long time, but eventually I did buy my own ice cream truck. Well, it wasn't actually an ice cream truck, it was an El Camino, and it had 2 freezers full of ice cream in the back, so anytime I wanted to sell ice cream, I'd just have to park and get out and go around back. It was great, and I'd still be doing it if I hadn't lost my license.
That's going to be a question. Yep.
I wasn't just selling ice cream out of my El Camino. I was also living in it. The ice cream chests in the back were plugged into the cigarette lighter inverter, so the engine had to be running at all times so that the ice cream wouldn't melt. This made it really hard to sleep. Anyway, One night I had a few drinks and I was trying to sleep, and of course the engine was still running so that the ice cream wouldn't melt, and a policeman came over to see what was happening. I didn't know this, but you can actually get a DUI if you're drinking while your engine's on, even if you aren't moving, so I ended up being sent to prison.
That's tough.
I actually got really lucky with my prison sentence. I was sentenced to 3 months in prison, but they let me out after 2. Also, I was sent in right before Christmas, which was great because on Christmas Day, they gave everybody a delicious cinnamon bun. It was the best cinnamon bun I've ever had. I guess sometimes Lady Luck is on my
There's
side.
a question about a cinnamon bun. Good.
That was the most amazing job I've ever had. It was also the shortest. Unfortunately, the first time that we went out, we actually hit an iceberg and sank like the Titanic. Some of the lifeboats got destroyed, but most people were able to get on one. The rest of us had to survive by climbing onto the iceberg.
This is so stupid.
After the ship sank, there were over 80 of us stranded on the iceberg, and we had no way to call for help, no food, no water. So out of desperation, we took off our clothes and we tried to form a sail out of them, hoping that we could ride the iceberg to shore.
Just tell the whole story.
The sail we made out of our clothes didn't end up working, and it didn't move the iceberg at all. Actually, after an hour, it just blew away in the wind anyway, so we were just left there half naked and freezing. Luckily, a cargo ship came upon us, and they were able to rescue us from the iceberg. But we didn't speak their language, and they didn't speak English, so we couldn't explain to them why we were all half naked on an iceberg. They dropped us off in Quebec after a very awkward trip. I don't know what happened to the other survivors. When we got to Quebec, we all just separated. Hitchhiking back to the United States from Canada was really unpleasant. Everyone only spoke French, and I was still half naked. Luckily, someone did stop, and they had a pickup truck, so they let me sit in the back, and they stopped 20 miles from the New York border, which was great because I only had about a 6-hour walk back to the States. I know they say you shouldn't hitchhike because it's dangerous, but the thing is, I've had a lot of luck hitchhiking over the years. The first time that I hitchhiked, I was going from Detroit to Albuquerque, and these 3 really nice dudes in a hippie van picked me up. It turns out they were a traveling folk band, and they taught me how to drive so that I could drive down the highway while they were practicing in the back. It took a really long time to get to Albuquerque because they kept having to stop for shows, and we did have to camp in their van every night, but it was still great. You know, I've met my fair share of famous people over the year, but this was really cool because they were real musicians and we got to get pretty close. Also, by the time we got to Albuquerque, I was so good at driving that I passed my driver's test the first time. I met Orville Redenbacher at the airport once. It was awesome. He was in line trying to get his luggage, and I thought, should I approach him or should I not? You know, I imagine a famous popcorn magnate like that is probably constantly having groups of people swarming him, trying to get his autograph. But anyway, I decided to go for it. So I went up to him and I said, I love your popcorn commercials. And he was really flattered and turned out to be a super nice guy. He even signed my cast. Anyway, that was in 1997. I found out later that he had actually died in 1995, so it couldn't have been him, but it was a really nice old man, and it was still a really fond memory.
Probably. Oh, boy.
Oh, I wasn't at the airport to catch a flight. Sadly, I've been homeless a few times throughout my life, and One of the tricks that I picked up was that you can go to an airport and pretty easily find a place to sleep. I think they're used to having people who need to find a quiet spot because their flight is delayed or there's a long layover, so it doesn't look too weird if you find a spot and just sleep there. But there is a trick, and that's to not overstay your welcome. So after 7 or 8 hours, you gotta get out of there. Also, you should never go back to the same airport twice unless a few years have passed. You know, I found a few creative places to sleep over the years. You just gotta know the tricks. A lot of homeless people
This has to be
will
longer
choose
than the
gas
first one.
stations and fast food restaurants to sleep at overnight, but I think that's actually a really bad idea because they're out in the open and the employees are probably going to have to kick them out. So when I was homeless, I always made sure to find a very hidden spot. So, for instance, I once worked at a fast food restaurant and I noticed that there was a ladder out back. So I climbed it and there was a beautiful roof that I could sleep in. Anyway, I slept there every night that I was working there and just made sure that no one saw me go up and no one saw me come down. So I had my smartphone, thankfully, to set an alarm to make sure that I'd be down in time and also get to work in time.
Agreed,
It was working really
CC.
well for a few months, but then eventually someone did see me go up on the roof. They figured out that I was sleeping there, and I did get fired, but, you know, I can't really blame them.
Knew that would be a question too. What'd I just do? What did I just do? Help. What just happened? Did we win? Screen is black. Someone help. Screen is black. You can't. I don't know what to say. I mean, I don't have many options here. Let's just not move for a second. Maybe if we wait this one out. Let's give it about 30 seconds. Let's assume she's talking right now and that everything's going to be okay. Oh, brother. This is... I mean, kudos to you guys for making this be a fucking punishment. I mean, this is fucking... I don't know what to say. All right, I'm gonna say we're stuck. I am so afraid that, excuse me, I am so afraid that if I wake up tomorrow and do this, it's not gonna have saved this girl. And you have to go from the beginning. I don't know what I'll do. What do you say we call it a night? Yeah, I think I'm out too. Like, comment, subscribe. Thanks for hanging out with me tonight. See you tomorrow. Thanks, CC. Always appreciate getting it out there. text me when you leave the stream so that I know. And I can end it. Or you know what? Fuck it. I'll just end it. Thank you, Nolan. Alright, ending it here. Peace out.